For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome into hour two. Not sure why you came, but we appreciate you being here. Let's move on to honorable mentions. So we got 3 on this list here. Matthew Golden, the rookie speed could stretch defenses, opening up the offense, much like Watson did when healthy. Edgerrin Cooper at linebacker after a strong finish to 2024. Cooper's continued growth could elevate the defense to new heights. Jair Alexander, if Alexander resolves his contract situation and stays healthy, his return could be a massive boost to the secondary. I don't know if you guys seen his Instagram story last night, but it was him on a boat, his arms crossed, looking all tough. He looks swole. I just want to say that. My man looks like he put on about, 8 or 9 pounds of muscle. And it had the most distorted looking dollars falling around him as well. Everybody's going, what's this mean? Is the deal done? Is he wanting more money? So we're in the cryptic Instagram story phase of this whole thing. But there's your 3 honorable mentions. Let's go around the horn here with it real quick. We'll start with you this time. Jacob, what do you think about that list there? Golden, Cooper, and Alexander. And then we're going to get everybody's list here in a second.
Yes, I will keep the suspense going, and I'll tell you that one of those players is on my list. And we'll get to that in a second here.
Emilio looks so intrigued. Look at him.
No, honestly, I didn't even know there was homework, so I didn't even make a list. I saw Jacob sent the article earlier, and I was just like, you know what?
Did you see the follow?
Like you do homework even when you know there's homework.
Yeah,
Emilio, you were just trying to make it out of that restaurant this afternoon.
I had no time to be reading an article that Jacob sent. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see it.
Go ahead, Jacob.
No, I mean, I don't think that Golden's going to punch into the league and absolutely demand that he forces that wide receiver room to take notice. Do I hope it happens? Sure, because that must mean that he's one hell of a player. But I just don't think Matt LaFleur is the type of coach that immediately is going to just take away snaps from guys like Dobbs, like Jaden for sure, even guys like Wicks. So I think that this year is going to be a lot of them, him and Savion getting their feet wet, learning the system, plug and play in here and there in certain situations, maybe have certain roles that they play. And then obviously, God forbid, if we have injuries, then I think they maybe splash onto the scene a little bit. I just think that this may be more of a learning redshirt year for Mr. Golden. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I do.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I will say this, though. I liked what I've seen from Matt Golden, just from the little bit of, micro underwear Olympics, right? OTA is just starting, but the way that he approaches that position, to me, mimics the same things we've seen with the greats of all time. Guys that attack the football when it's in the air. They're not waiting for the ball to come to their hands. You can watch a few reps and you just see, Matthew Golden is just absolutely snatching that ball out of the air and then keeping it away from the body as he's coming back to the ground, turning upfield. I look at his routes. He wastes absolutely zero motion when running a route. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that, stays on the stem of the route without wasting a step. It's Matthew Golden. So I think he deserves to be an honorable mention on this list. He almost made my top 5 list, but I agree with the sentiment. Honorable mention for sure.
Emilio? I don't know what you're looking at your phone for over there.
Yeah, I'm excited for all 3. I'm excited for all 3 of these guys. I really am. Ja, I really just want him back. Just square this thing away and let's move on. Just win a Super Bowl. We'll figure it out next year. Because
tell you, Pack is back. You heard it from a fan right here.
Thank you, and that's all it's about. Bring him back.
All right. Well, let's drop this down for just a second. Did everybody get their take in here? Are we good? We feel good about this?
Yes.
Let's take a break from it before we get your all's list. And I want to show you guys what I just sent the guys. Facebook blew up the day this afternoon when that restaurant got hit. All right. Shout out to the restaurant. We won't give the actual name. But if I can get this to pull up, this is something to behold here, okay? This was the owner of the restaurant. Look at it. You tell me that man can't make an enchilada right there? That guy is throwing down some enchiladas, all right? And then this is the best one. Whoever posted it on their story said, went out like a G. So they put it on Facebook. So anyway, that's home. That's home. All right, let's get everybody's list real quick. Let's start with you, Jacob. The suspense is killing Emilio over there. So What's who are the top 5 on your list? And again, just to mention the criteria here. All right, the 5 most important Packers for the 2025 season. Go ahead, Jake. If you have to.
Sorry. Respect just said democracy manifest. But he's like democracy manifest, way.
We need that sound drop, by the way. Democracy manifest.
I'm enjoying a succulent dish, a Chinese meal. Get your hands off my. All right. Anyways.
Here's the guy.
Oh God.
That is one of the best clips of all time. I would just say
It
that.
is.
All right. My top 5, and I would say in any order, but stop. Respect oranges. Love is number 1. I think, like we said, that's a given. You plug him in. We went over that as to why. Field general, coming back from injury, whole offense runs through him. We get that, right? That's kind of a given. My second one, I'm surprised that nobody else really talked about is Edgerrin Cooper. Obviously, it was in the mentions there, but a guy that was that talented that quickly and was so multi-faceted, whether it be in the coverage game, rushing the passer, playing the run, sifting through blocks, absolutely just playing out of his mind and doing that all with, again, a coaching staff that I thought was reluctant and really letting him go out of the gates. And it took him a while to find his feet, find the snaps. And I think now it's the point where I would really love to see, and I believe it was maybe Emilio that highlighted a fun fact that they only had one game that Quay and Edge got to start together and play through. And that to me is scary to think about.
It was the Philly playoff game. That was it.
Yeah. Okay. And obviously we wish that went a different way, but that to me gets me more excited than all you can eat buffet night at the club. So I'll move on to number 3. Jayden Reed, to me, that seems like there had to be some sort of leader in the wide receiver room with Watson on the sideline, even though I think he is probably the biggest leader as far as just being more vocal. I think Jayden Reed took that upon his shoulders after this last offseason, especially with all the, if you want to call it drama. I think that more fueled him to say, all right, you guys want to talk smack about me and think we don't have a great squad. Him taking it upon himself to actually mention the rookies, to mention how he is mentoring them, how LaFleur mentioned him as well. I think that he has now all of a sudden solidified himself as the leader in the wide receiver room. You could argue me about that, but I just feel like that is what it seems to me. The next 2 are our last free agents, X and Jacobs. I just feel like X deserved the leadership that he gained leadership. He wasn't just given it. That he came in, he talked a big game, and then what did he do? He had like 5, 6, whatever it was, games with interceptions, ended up playing out of his mind, helped that secondary in a way that I don't think gets talked about enough with the lack of Jair. It's why I didn't include Jair on this list, because typically you've got to play a certain amount of games and you got to not have conduct detrimental to the team. Not saying that's exactly what happened, but when I'm making a list of the top 5 Packers, I want a guy that can be on the field and isn't going to attract drama away from the team's goal. The last one being Josh Jacobs. At the end of that season last year, I think with how vocal he was and what he straight up said, we need a leader in the wide receiver room. We need a next. We need somebody that's going to take the reins, and him changing that run game in Green Bay for the first time that I've seen in a long time with an offensive line that, don't get me wrong, I think played pretty darn well, but I think has a lot of room for improvement. If we see him even take a step, that offensive line take a step, Love is the field, general that we need, I think the sky's the limit. So that is why they're in my top 5. Love, Cooper, Reed, X, and Jacobs. So how's that, Emilio?
Sounds like you made it up on the spot. But I would like to go at the end so I could accumulate everybody's ideas.
Tim, go ahead with your list.
I will pass, sir. You're muted, Tim.
Muted.
My bad. J Money, number 1, spoiler alert. No big surprise. Number 2 on my list. And yeah, you're probably going to see more defensive guys than offensive guys. But Zach Tom would be number 2. Kind of reiterating my point about Elton Jenkins at center and, depth issues possibly there. I think Zach Tom's the most valuable offensive lineman that we have right now. Number 3, Jacob stole my thunder a little bit. Cowboy Coop, baby. Edgerrin Cooper, year 2, looking for him to break out, really hit his stride. If he doesn't have a sophomore slump and he just continues to be a freak, we're looking at a generational talent, and we're looking at depth in the middle of that defense for the foreseeable future. So I think Edgerrin Cooper is very, very important. Number 4 on my list, Carrington Valentine.
Ooh, I like that.
With the question mark, fading question mark, but still a question mark with Jair, because even if Ja plays, we know like how many games. We need a guy that can step up, and I think Carrington Valentine is going to prove how important he is to this defense this year. Number 5 was kind of a tie for me between offensive and defensive player. The defensive fan went with Devontae Wyatt. Just we've got a new D-line coach. We talked about Coach Covington, the departure of TJ Slayton, the fact that we kind of stood pat in that D-line room. I think Devontae Wyatt stepping up, getting over the hump, really making some progress this year would be absolutely huge for this defense. And then my counterpoint to that would have been, of course, the one, the only Mr. Yak himself, Tuck Norris. I think Tuck Norris is definitely super important, and this could be the year. Like, I don't think he needs to have a breakout season for Packer fans. We're familiar with his game, but I think this might be the year that Tuck Norris puts the NFL on notice, man. And we got a new premier tight end that's going to be a star in this league. My honorable mentions are Ja Money and Quay Walker. That's my list. Go ahead and steal them, Emilio. Let's go.
After Clay.
I'm good. I have no list. You think I prepared for this? I literally just threw my man's list together and said, hey, let's go over it. So,
lucky. Yeah. See, the only one I would add, I think I would accumulate all of y'all's. The only one I would probably add would just be Matt LaFleur. I really just kind of want to see him reel the whole team in, bring everybody together. Listening to Love the Star, they were talking about how McCarthy's practices, he just had a lot. The guy, Brian Brodish, had a lot of beef with the way McCarthy ran the practices. They weren't hard on the guys. They weren't pushing them. They weren't trying to get them better. He said, however much I had issues with Jason Garrett, he ran a practice and he got the best out of these guys. I think Matt LaFleur can maybe, tone that up a little bit and then keep your head together on game days when you need to be, you got somebody helping you with the clock. Let's be smart with that, smart with your timeouts, really get into the flow of a game. I think that really could springboard not only the offense with all these guys who are expecting to take a step, but contain and help the defense so that they can be their best self as well.
Yeah, I think of all the entire list that you guys put together, maybe not, I don't know if I would say most important, but the one that really comes to mind for me or sticks out is what Tim said about Carrington Valentine. I don't think people realize just how well he played last year. And if Jair is not here, that's going to be that dude that's going to get thrust right into the spotlight, and I think he's ready for it. I'm not saying he's going to play at peak Jair level, but I think he will really, really surprise people. Another year under Coach Hafley, if there's one player you pick from that DB room and go, man, that guy took the coaching and made the most of it, I think it was Carrington. I really do. Yep. Passer rating when targeted was I think it was the best on the team, if I remember correctly. Maybe second best only behind Ja. And then, of course, the interceptions, his ability to read and react, even in man coverage, and find the ball. And when it was thrown to – he just has this ability to, okay, my guy's not really a threat right here. Let me look for some work while not leaving my responsibility. And that's something that's hard to coach. It really is.
It's like freelancing without freelancing, right? That was one of the knocks on Ja, right? He would just leave the man, pass him off. How do you pass a guy off and you're in man-to-man coverage? You can't do that. So, I think you're right. And, to the point we talked about the other day, we talked about it looks like Jair on one side, Keyshawn on the other, and they're trying to do Nate Hobbs in the slot, right? Okay. Well, if there's no Jair, then you're right, Clayton. You put CV over there opposite of Keyshawn and you run Nate Hobbs in the slot and we don't miss a beat and you just keep going forward.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right, we got a couple of things marked here. I seen you just threw in. Coach Lynn said, I don't know if you guys seen, but Mercedes Lewis was on with Kay Adams earlier, either today or yesterday, and it sounded like Matt LaFleur was interested in bringing him back, and they were in good communication. He said they're really good friends, but it sounds like Goody shot that down. So Matt wanted Mercedes back. No surprise there. Mercedes he's a freaking pro's pro, right?
And in the great words of the great Emilio,
He can block. That's the fact. He
You're
can.
not going to find another player that's more equipped to show Tucker Kraft how to take his blocking to the next level and how to be a pro. I think he's got the record, right, in terms of how many snaps played or maybe games played by a tight end at the NFL level. But Coach Lynn said, would y'all be interested in bringing Mercedes Lewis back to free up Kraft to get the ball more in 12 personnel? I'm kind of torn on it, Coach, because Mercedes' best ball is way behind him.
Yeah.
I immediately, when I seen that clip, before I heard it and I seen it come across Twitter, I thought, as a coach, oh my God, that would be great, right? So as a player, so much I'm not as excited about. And the reality is, you got to take Luke Musgrave off the field if you're going to have Mercedes Lewis on the field. And
progress stopper, right?
Right, progress stopper. It's a second-round pick, and you guys know I'm still a little skeptical on Luke Musgrave. I was the president of the Luke Musgrave fan club, right, when we drafted him. I had him extremely high on my draft board that year. I was fired up about it. I'm not going to BS anybody. He has not lived up to those expectations for me, but injuries have been a problem, and it's not because he's not tough. The guy had internal bleeding and finished a freaking game, so I don't want to hear that, But, what do you guys think about that question there? No, you were starting to say something, I believe. There.
Yeah, well, no, I was just saying, I did see that, but it's tough because if we're bringing him back, it's like you have an extra tackle over there, right? And I like your take, Clay. If you could bring him back and have him be a player coach, but you have to give up a roster spot for that, right? He can't go on the practice squad or anything. So if anything, if he doesn't end up getting a team, maybe like a late season signing or something, if there's an injury or chase it down, but you do kind of become a little one-dimensional in the fact of, hey, they know we're going to run it, or at least, you're going to keep them in pass blocking. But again, you could use that to your advantage. And, the 3 games you use it all year, leak him out, get a couple of passes, quick touchdown when you need it, something like that. So I think that's a possibility. Just the numbers and, time, I don't think is going to link up.
Yeah. From the tribe of Yehuda says, I believe Tuck will have 11 to 12 tuds this year, over 950 yards receiving this year. The man is a warrior. I wouldn't be surprised. Tucker Kraft is a real deal. Like, if you increase his touches, I'm telling you, he was on pace to outperform Brock Bowers and the top tight ends in the league. And it's kind of like the Rashawn Gary conversation. Like, if they're not giving him playing time, that's not on him. He can only handle when he's on the field. Tucker Kraft maximized his opportunities on the field, no doubt. So, really, really like that take there.
That was the one I had hardest leaving off my top 5, because I thought that there had to be more of a presence in the wide receiver room, because there's so many more guys that don't necessarily have that leadership or what the pecking order is, whereas I think it's quite clear in the tight end room who's the boss dog.
Yeah. 2-0 for this says, honorable mention for me is McManus. He has lived up to how he kicked last year. Could not agree more. Couldn't agree.
Good
point. And hopefully we're in less of those situations where we're depending on his leg at the end of the game to get us home, Hopefully we're winning by 10 or more, this year. But I agree. What a great point by Tool for this. McMoney, baby. The X factor. I love it.
Right. Eric Sutherland pointed out Sam Brown Jr., 6'2", 41-inch vert, and ran a 4.440.
He had a 9.89 RAS as well.
Oh, man. So that's someone who's they'll probably want to stash him on the practice squad, I would imagine. So the fact that he was available to all 32 teams tells me probably a reasonable chance they can make that happen for sure. Let's see here. 2-0 for this says, apparently Sam Brown was ahead of Golden in the depth chart at Houston. How the turntables. That's a good nugget there. Appreciate it. And then Greg Rice says, compare Jacobs' yards until first contact to Saquon. Somebody mark that. Does anybody know?
Jacob gets
contacted. I thought you meant Jacob.
Oh, I was going to say, Jacob gets contacted immediately once he gets off the field. Man.
It's a good point.
I think he meant the average depth before contact is made, meaning Saquon got to run through bigger holes and didn't have to initiate contact until much, whereas Jacobs was getting it in the backfield and still coming forward with positive yardage.
Got you. That makes sense. That Eagles front for sure.
Just to put a light on my boy, I like how a lot of people are writing off Bullard. Hope he goes off this season. I do too, because Jacob gave up on him, so I will stand on the Bullard fan club.
All right. All right, you get Bullard. I'll take Glover.
No way. No, I got to. Nope, they're both mine. Sorry.
Can I just say something? Can I be a little controversial here? And listen, there is nothing factual to back this up. I'm just saying something that popped in my mind earlier today. The fact that it seems like Javon Bullard is not in the hunt to start at slot, and it doesn't seem like at this point, it's really early, he's in the hunt to start at safety over Evan Williams as well. Okay. Emilio, who did we see at dinner when we were in Green Bay?
Yeah, Bull. Yep.
Who was he with that night?
His agent.
I'm just saying. The guy. Who is that agent specifically?
I don't even want to talk about it.
Drew Rosenhaus.
It's Drew, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm not trying to stir anything up, but that's what popped in my mind earlier today. I'm going Clayton. God, I hope this isn't one of those things like, hey, if my guy isn't going to be in the hunt to start, then I want to go somewhere
I feel
where
like it's so early, not even off the rookie deal. Like, what are we doing, man?
And it can't. It can't be. It's got to be that, Emilio. It's got to be way too early. I'm just saying that popped in my mind, and I went, I don't even want to go.
It did too.
Did it for you too? Did it really?
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Listening to Ryan's pod, and that triggered. He was talking about Bullard or something. I was like, dude, I cannot believe he was sitting at that. All right, we didn't know who the other guy was, but asking him about getting linked back up with Nazir, and what do you think the defense is going to be this year, and all that. Man, I would just hate that.
Yeah, if Greg was asking where with us, we went to dinner Wednesday night. Me, Emilio, Tim, and the ladies went to dinner in downtown Green Bay, and it was the spot. There were players everywhere. Desmond Howard was there. The whole ESPN crew. Schefter, Laura Rutledge, Peter Schrager, Greeny, everyone was there. And sure enough, right next to us, Drew Rosenhaus sits down at a table with another guy. We didn't know who it was. And Javon Bullard comes in and sits down and eats dinner with him. So I couldn't stop thinking about that earlier today. I'm going, I hope this doesn't turn into something. And I don't think it will. So I'm just, again, we are not pundits. We are not media members. We are fans. And it's okay as a fan to talk about the things you worry about, hopefully. And that was something that did cross my mind earlier today, because I do think he played pretty damn good in the slot. I think he's one of the reasons that the run defense got so much better by being so physical in the slot. I don't want to see him go anywhere, but man, it popped up in my mind. So let's get to the Patreon questions. Again, the best way to support the show and what we do here at Packers Total Access is to join the Patreon community. You can do that by scanning the QR code in the upper right or going to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. It gets you access to all of our chats, including questions for the show. And it also gets you entered into giveaways. We're going to be doing a giveaway this Saturday for an autographed Lucas Van Ness rookie card. Basically how it works is if you're a member of the $3 tier, we put your name on the wheel, spin that sucker, and whoever it lands on will get that card mailed right to your front door. Just a way for us to give back to those who are supporting the channel. Damon Redwine says, something I noticed after yesterday's video, this was 3 days ago, by the way, in regards to offense/defensive scoring per quarter, I feel overwhelmingly we could defer the ball and opt to receive the opening kickoff. NFL teams average 10 to 11 drives per game, with our run-heavy offense slowing the game down. Let's round that down to 10, averaging that down to 5 per half. Receiving the ball first to start the game means logically we should average 3 drives in the first quarter and 2 in the second, with opponents being reversed. With opponents receiving the ball first in the second half, we would average 2 drives in the third quarter and 3 in the fourth, with opponents being reversed. What that tells you is we should be scoring more points in the first than the second and more points in the fourth than the third, with our defense allowing less points in those quarters, all of which the numbers seem to agree with. Great breakdown there, Damon. I like the way you're thinking, man, because, again, when we do some of these breakdowns, we can look at it from 1,000 different angles, right? And it's going to take way too long on the show, but I like the way you broke that down for sure, man. Now, CJN says, with Ja coming back and they work on this contract, hopefully, is there any benefits to either side if things get done post June 1st or not a concern? The benefit, regardless, is you can designate him to a post June 1 cut if you want to move on beyond June 1, which we're coming up on it now here in a couple of days now, right? But To me, that's just you're kind of splitting hairs at that point, CJN. You either want him on the team or you don't. The Packers want him on the roster. Now that they've determined they cannot get what they feel like is good value for Jair in a trade, they want him on the roster, but they want him on the roster at his number. And the reality of the situation, in my opinion, is Jair now, he holds the cards in terms of – here's what Jair wants. Jair wants to play – he wants to take it down the sideline, right, and the ball to a kid wearing 23. He wants to play for the Packers with the contract he's got. That's the way I feel. I could be wrong. I feel like that's what he wants. But, however, if they're going to try to force him to restructure that contract, I think he would rather play somewhere else. That's me personally. I could be wrong on that, okay? Now, with that being said, he holds all the cards to get both of those things. If he shows up to camp, to mini camp here in June, he forces their hand. They're not going to let him on that practice field without a new deal unless they come to a decision in-house. All right, we will have you at that number. It just seems like Goody's pretty dug in, and we know Goody usually don't go back on these type of things, right? Mm-hmm. So
right.
I feel like
they might tweak
Jair does hold the cards there in that regard. So go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say at most they might tweak that offer, maybe
meet in the middle, right?
Yeah,
like,
maybe. You might get a counter from Jaws camp and then a match from the Packers, but I don't know how likely that is.
Did you see what happened here, Tim?
What is this?
Emilio just put a picture of some stripes that he got a picture offline. You know,
no shot. Come on.
I promise he didn't. You're gonna try to convince me your little snapper did that? Come on, no way. So
anyway. That took me an hour and change. Come on now.
I bet it did. How much you charge those poor people?
Well, too much.
Too much.
Double cut, double stripe.
I bet it was worth every dime to walk out on that back deck on Saturday morning, sip that coffee, and go, "Damn, man, it looks good, right?"
Yeah, it took you an hour. That took you an hour to make that on AI. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good. My first time using AI, so I hope it turns out.
Deep fake for picks.
Excelio, exactly. You're using deep fake picks.
Thanks, Holmes.
Unbelievable. All right. Anyway, back to what we were trying to cover. That was pretty damn good. I ain't gonna lie to you. That was brilliant. By the way.
I appreciate it.
Anything else to what CJN asked here in terms of post June 1? Because what it comes down to is like you can absorb the majority of the cap hit this year, or you can spread it out over 2 years, right? It's essentially what it kind of flips in terms. I don't think it's an issue because the Packers are 10th in cap space. Last I checked across the league, they got like $28 million in cap space. They don't need the cap space right now, you know. And if they did, they could just convert some salary to bonus on another person's contract and free that money up immediately. So it's more about getting him at the dollar they wanted, Matt.
Right. Because weren't they talking about eventually maybe having to adjust the salary cap just because they hate that it's getting cash over cap and wanting to get that reeled back in a little bit? They don't want that to get out of hand like it's been.
Yeah,
I saw something about that, and they're talking about getting rid of the void years, right?
Yeah, they're trying to basically. This has always been around, but teams are starting to really abuse it. They've been abusing it for several years now, so they're trying to hone that in a little bit. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, we're just simply talking about cash over cap. You're choosing to pay someone cash in a signing bonus form so you can spread it out over the duration of the contract and even go to the extreme of tacking on voidable years. All 32 teams, to the best of my knowledge, have done that. So it's not like there's anyone who's innocent of this. It just seems like the league's starting to come together and go, is this really what we wanted this to be? And, you know, something I learned from Andrew Brandt's podcast earlier today. I don't know if you listened to it or not, Emilio. Did you listen to Andrew Brandt's earlier?
I did not.
Really good. He also talked about, I didn't know this, you know, they talk about the players are getting 52%, I think it is, of the income that comes in for the league. He said that's not correct. That doesn't include suite sales. That doesn't include I can't remember if it's TV money or something. It was like two or three other aspects of the income. He said if you factor that in, it's actually closer to 42 than 52. Mm-hmm. So
they must be basing it off of just ticket sales, right?
It's just another example of we look at the players like these greedy bastards, and it's really not the case. Like everybody's clawing for as much as they can get, and the owners are definitely doing their share of manipulating the system. Go ahead, Tim. What were you trying to say, buddy?
No, I was saying they must be basing that off of like selected numbers, right? If it's a revenue share, it's probably based off of ticket sales, or I'm sure they get a cut of their merch, right? Your jersey's number one selling, you know, you probably get a revenue share. But that doesn't account for, like you said, 5, 6, 7, 10 other factors, you know?
Right. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. And again, thanks everybody for the Patreon question. Emilio, thank you for Googling that image.
I added you some more just to show you. There you go.
Oh my
Bam.
God.
So I've done this before too. This is really cool. All you got to do in Grok is give me multiple angles. That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Anyway, get this off of here, man. Unbelievable.
Uh,
I want to know who was looking out that window going, why is that guy in my front yard? Who is he? Why is he taking
yeah, I just borrowed a yard. Yeah.
So I told you to cut the grass, get in your truck, and leave.
Exactly. Actually, I'm thinking he's saying that guy didn't cut our grass. Why is he stopping in front of the yard taking a picture? That's what I think is going on. What do you guys think about the cash over cap? Do you think it's something that should be changed? Jacob, how do you feel about it? Because you've done a pod with me for 2 years now. I think I've been pretty clear and vocal about how that operates. Do you like it, or do you think they should get it back to no, you can't put if you took the voidable years aspect off, I think it would stop, or it would at least slow down to a minimum,
Yeah, I go back and forth. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'm also not an economist. I'm also not a linguist. I'm also not a scientist. So I don't know. Honestly, the contract stuff always kind of makes my head hurt a little bit, but I just don't like the idea of those voidable years. It just seems to like push the can down the road, and then relying so much on caps rising and, like you said, different deals that come in and all that kind of stuff. I would just rather it be a little more cut and dry, a little more black and white. And again, I've said this for years on this podcast. If I could change every single contract to a pure incentive-based contract, that's what I would rather do. But I know that the CBA, I'm sure, would never really allow that, or at least have half of it guaranteed, half of it incentive-based, to the point where, like, if you're Rashawn Gary and you get 12 sacks and you've got a 20% hit rate and you've got this many pressures, then, dude, I want to pay you like $10 million more than what your normal contract would be if you just agreed to play on it. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like per year. I want to give you incentive per year to go out there every single time and not get comfortable because you got a 4-year contract and you're like, well, I made my incentive now. I got my nest egg. I'd rather it be more of like a year by year. Let's see, what have you done for me lately thing.
Yeah. You know what I noticed about Jacob? When I don't know what it is with your camera, dude, but the way it's zooming in and out. Do you guys see that?
Yeah, it's like
it makes me feel like he slipped me a gummy or something. Like I'm over there. Why is it? What in the world is going on with Jacob?
It's apparently like a gamer video thing.
Oh, you got that fancy stuff over there, huh?
I hate it. I'm gonna get a new one.
Look at me.
I went to Kmart and got top dollar. Good for you, Jacob. Jeez.
Okay, Kmart's a lot of my league, man.
He said my neighbor will never
pronounce Kmart. Okay?
I'll tell you something else that's happened contractually here lately too. You guys heard about Shamar Stewart still holding out, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, boy, we dodged a bullet there. It sounds like the Bengals are trying to create. I don't know if it's new. It's probably not new, but they're really trying to hammer down on putting. For those who don't know, the contracts, they're structured in a way now with the rookies that it's already set on the skeleton of the contract. But it's how much is going to be guaranteed, what's the lingo in the contract, and what's going on with Shamar Stewart is they're trying to put something in there that the contract or a large portion of it will not be guaranteed if something happens off the field, whether it's conduct, whatever. And we don't know all the details of what's going on behind the scenes there, but he's holding out in that regard. Another thing that happened, Tim, you know your boy Jaden Higgins?
Yep.
He just got I believe the first ever second-round pick fully guaranteed contract.
Wow.
So that's something that agents are starting to push for. So you got all these second-round picks that some of the second-round picks that still haven't signed, however many there are. They seen that come through with Jaden Higgins. Where did he go? Was it Houston?
He was early second round, right?
Houston.
Houston.
Took both of them.
Him and Noel.
So Houston said, we'll give it fully guaranteed for you. Let's get you into camp, right? And now all the other second-round picks that aren't signed are going, hold up. Whoa, stop. Yeah, I want mine guaranteed too. And these teams are going, just like Cleveland with the Deshaun Watson contract.
Right.
Damn it, Houston, what are you doing? Like, stick to the plan here. So you're starting to see that evolve a little bit.
I think it was the GM shuffle they were talking about that, Clay. It was just like, yeah, the fact that, first round, obviously they're going to get their guarantees. And then everybody else, that's why 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 are all signed. And seconds are trying to get that first round money and at least guarantee it all the way through. And that's just something that's going to change as the game goes on. And it's just something they're going to keep, nagging at until it's third rounders that want to be, fully guaranteed. So I don't know when you stop that slide.
Right.
I was going to say one other question, just kind of wrapping up full circle of what we did earlier. So picking one person on the Packers, if you could guarantee him, a full, healthy, 100% ready to go season besides Jordan Love, who would that be? So you went over your top 5, but I'm saying just a completely 100% fully healthy season.
Fully healthy. So wow.
Jair freaking Alexander.
I think that's a good one.
I like it, Tim.
Wouldn't it be cool to see him play 16 or 17 games? That would be awesome, right?
Right.
I'd love it.
For me, it's hands down Christian Watson. The things that Christian Watson does, the thing this offense does when Christian Watson is healthy, if we had him for a full season, I'm telling you, man, that dude, he really was turning the corner big time. And that's why I'm hoping we seen him on the practice field yesterday going through stretches, jog through, stuff like that. Guys, he looks ahead of schedule. And today, Tauscher was talking about it with Wildy, and they were kind of bickering back and forth a little bit on it. There's nobody else I'm rooting for more this year than Christian Watson to come back early, be fully healthy, and get the money he deserves. Because the fact that he's having to deal with this in a contract year absolutely sucks. And he's a leader in the locker room. Here's the other thing I want to say, and Tauscher pointed this out. Tauscher said there's nothing wrong with going away with a rehab, going out of doing your thing and with other trainers that you trust and you like and the team agrees to it. There's nothing wrong with that. He said Christian Watson is in Green freaking Bay, helping these rookies, going through the training there, the rehab, they're doing everything right. He's been the model Green Bay Packer. When Romeo Doubs had his little stint last year, Christian Watson defended him while also giving that brother love, like, hey, bro, straighten your ass up type thing.
Yep.
Like, he's the leader in that room. That's the guy that comes in.
That back in the day, they would call him a pros pro, right? That's a pros pro, right? Your favorite player's favorite player type of guy. And I think that's a great point, Clay. I really do. I think Scoot is certainly looks like he's in the best shape of his life and looks ahead of schedule. I can't wait to see them kind of like take the training wheels off and ease him into some activity here as we go forward. But I think you're right, man. He could come back early. That would be incredible.
The thought of him in the X, Golden in the Z and vice versa, and Reed in the slot, bro. And then you got Romeo Doubs rotating. I mean, all of them, it's just like, let's go. Dude.
Wicks, Williams, like we haven't even scratched the surface yet with that receiver.
Jacob, who were you going to say? Who's the injured player that or the player that you wish could be 100% healthy?
I would say right now would be Coop, just to make sure that he's there for the solid season and just see what that does to the defense. But I did see an honorable mention to me would be freaking Marshawn Lloyd, because we don't even know what we got in that poor guy. Just cannot stay out of the freaking hospital. But yeah, that'd probably be my two.
Mine would probably be Musgrave, just so that we could see what would happen in the 12 personnel and really give him a good full chance of, what he's – because I got that from the Love of the Star podcast they were asking, but he was saying that Jake Ferguson, like having a tight end that can be physical like Kraft, imagine taking a little bit of weight off Kraft's shoulders and still being able to, run the offense, move the ball, get it up the field, have a vertical threat with that kind of size. I think that's something that, you won't have. It's a little bit different than Savion. You know what I mean? Even if you have that size and speed, but it's different coming out of a tight end than it is, wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I like that too.
Anything else, gents? We good?
I think we're good.
All right. Just need you guys to remember, you don't have to agree with it, but this is peak male performance right here. You hear me? That's that right there. That's a man.
That's a Taco Tuesday belly right there, baby.
I'm telling you, dude. I say it all the time. Me and Mandy walk into a restaurant we're trying new. I look around and I look in the back and I see people just a little overweight cooking. I go, we're in the right spot.
My dad's got that mustache.
What'd you say?
He knows his judo well.
There it is, eating a succulent Mexican meal.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, shout out to that unnamed restaurant. Hopefully everything. It's funny too. I was messaging with my sister. It's funny because we were supposed to go eat there last Sunday and I had to cancel. And I said, I guess I ain't gonna get to try it. And she messaged me back a few hours later, said nope. And it literally on Facebook they posted and said, hey, we had a slight mishap here at the restaurant, but we're open until 10. They were back at it. I was like,
that's awesome.
As Mayor Lou Brown, or I'm sorry, Coach Lou Brown said, I think that was his name in Major League. It's my kind of tea. Charlie. It's my kind of thing. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Appreciate everybody. 7 p.m. Central as of right now, 6:30, 7 p.m., somewhere around that time. Y'all like this time? Are we good? That working out pretty good?
Ish.
All right, cool. We seem to go a little longer each time, too. Pretty soon it ain't going
Yes.
to matter, right? So
We'll just be on from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. in
Yeah.
the future, right? 24-hour stream, right?
Exactly. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Again, check out the Patreon group. Appreciate everybody over there supporting the channel. We'll be back tomorrow. And enjoy the new outro. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go Pack, go.
I don't know. We'll take over the world.
And we go.
Bye, guys.